All right, our final type of bonding is covalent or molecular bonding. So, before we get into it, I want you to think back a little bit to the two types of bonding we've discussed so far. Ionic bonding is between a metal and a nonmetal, or a metal and a polyatomic ion. Metallic bonding is between all metals. Okay, so that only leaves one other thing that a covalent bond can be, and that must mean that it's all nonmetals. Okay, so one more time. Ionic bond, a metal and a nonmetal, the electrons are transferred. A metallic bond is all metals, and the electrons are delocalized in a sea of valence electrons. And finally, we have molecular bonding. So let's look at what a molecule is. So a molecule is the smallest electrically neutral unit of a substance that still has the properties of that substance. It has to be two or more atoms put together, so it can definitely be more than two. Two atoms of the same kind are often called diatomic, while three are called triatomic if they're the same kind. That's just a little side note there. Some properties of molecular compounds. If you think back to ionic compounds, remember I told you their bonds are very, very strong. They're held together very tightly, so therefore their boiling points and melting points are very high. Okay, it's very hard to melt an ionic compound. A molecular compound, on the other hand, has very low melting points, and in fact, they're so low that they frequently exist as liquids and gases at room temperature. Okay, make sure you fill in those blanks there. And they are composed of two or more nonmetals. What were ionic compounds composed of? Go back a couple minutes if you can't remember. Write that down, highlight it, make a list. You should have, for all three types of bonds, what are they made of and what are their electrons doing. Okay, and we'll talk about what the electrons are doing in a molecular compound right now, here in a minute. On your periodic table, I want you to label these molecules because they are special. Okay, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, and also fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. And so I call these the 6 and the 7 plus hydrogen. They are what are known as diatomic. Okay, so let's look at the periodic table and I'll show you what you can do on yours real quick. Okay, so the 6 and the 7, I call it that because if you look, there are 6 elements here that are diatomic in the shape of a 7 plus hydrogen. Okay? And so these are all the diatomic elements. And what that means is exactly what it sounds like. Di means two. They will never exist alone. All right? So that means nitrogen can never be written just N. It has to be written N2. Oxygen has to be written O2 when you're talking about these things, okay? That's not to say that if they're buddied up with some other element, like nitrogen monoxide would just be NO, this is okay because they're buddied up together. But if I'm just saying nitrogen, period, it has to be N2. If I'm just saying chlorine, period, it has to be Cl2. Okay, so these are the diatomic elements. So make sure you've marked those on your periodic table, the 6 and the 7 plus hydrogen. Covalent bonds are formed by the sharing of electrons. So ionic bonds transferred the electrons. Metallic bonds, sea of delocalized electrons. Covalent bonds share their electrons, okay? They still want to get 8. This is the whole point of all of this is everybody wants 8 electrons, but now covalent bonding involves sharing rather than transferring. And we are always talking about the outermost electrons, the valence electrons, not any other types of electrons, okay? So let's look at how you name covalent compounds. You cannot predict their formulas using the periodic table like we did before. There's no charges, there's no Roman numerals. It's actually very simple, and you will appreciate this. It's so much easier than the other way of naming ionic compounds. So the more metallic element goes first, so that means the one that's closer to the metals always goes first. Remember, they're all nonmetals, so it's the one that's closest to the staircase. And you use prefixes to say how many of each type of atom. So make sure you pause the video right now if you need to, and write down all of these prefixes. 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, And then 4 is tetra. From there on, you're probably used to the prefixes from math class, like a 5-sided figure is a pentagon, a 6-sided is a hexagon. So those are the same prefixes. To say 6, you say hexa, and so on. The only exception to the rule is we do not use mono on the first element ever. Okay? And also, you drop the A when you're dealing with oxygen. Okay? And you'll see that in the examples. And then obviously you still add the suffix IDE to the last element just like you did before. All right, so let's do our examples here. Carbon dioxide. It doesn't say monocarbon, but because the first element, remember, we never use mono. So there's just one carbon, and di means 2, so that means there's 2 oxygens. CO2, boom, you got it. Dinitrogen tetroxide. Here's an example of where the A was dropped next to an O. You never put AO together. It's not tetraoxide, it's just tetroxide. So dinitrogen. Di means 2, and 2. Tetroxide. Oxygen is oxide, and tetra is 4. Okay, tetraphosphorus. So P4. Decoxide. So it's not decaoxide, oxygen, and then dec is 10, P4O10. Is this easy or what? Okay, let's work in reverse. So again, you just use the prefixes to say how many of each. S, how many are there? 1, so do we say monosulfur? No, because it's the first element, so you just say sulfur. If it had been the second element and there was only one of them, then yes, you use mono. For example, CO is carbon monoxide. All right, so sulfur, and then how do you say 2 oxygens? Dioxide. Change the ending to IDE. Here we have 1 nitrogen, so that's just nitrogen. Fluoride is the second part, but how many are there? 3, so it's nitrogen trifluoride. I didn't write that very well. All right, N2O, laughing gas. So there's 2 nitrogens, so we say dinitrogen. And then 1 oxygen, we say mono, but again, remember you don't say monooxide. You drop one of the O's. It's just monoxide. Okay. The only time you're going to put 2 vowels together if it's iodine. So if I had I3, that would be called triiodide. Sounds weird, but that's what it is. Triiodide. Okay? All right, next time we will look into the types of covalent bonds and drawing Lewis dot structures. Doesn't that sound exciting? I can't wait.